If in any way, shape, or form I have any business that has to do with Russia and or anything having to do with assets connected to the former Soviet Union that may have been in some sort of limbo stage in terms of addressing outstanding obligations between the United States and countries of the former Soviet Union, then there are very literal things that need to be addressed rather than a couple of cases of alleged transgender rights, some derivative case filing about a natural gas pipeline between West Virginia and North Carolina that talks about reversionary interest between two government entities as opposed to from private property to the government. And then whatever that stuff was at the end that I'm not going to go into right now. I want to talk instead about System Pipe and Supply Incorporated versus MV Viktor Kornatovsky, 242 F.3D 322 324, Fifth Circuit, 2001. This case specifically was referenced in a findings, conclusions, and recommendation of the United States Magistrate Judge after I had filed a motion for a new trial in September of 2019. I did not know at the time that my mother died around the time, if not specifically in connection with the termination of my electronic filing account with the Northern District of Texas U.S. District Court. I didn't know that till several months later. What I did know is when I received this response, it didn't seem to apply to my case. For one thing, it wasn't in the jurisdiction of a magistrate judge. I had received a form asking if I consented, and I said no. But before I could even mail it back, I got the findings, conclusions, and recommendations talking about Special Order 3, which is not even available anywhere that I can find. After perusing what it said in here and then looking at both the criminal and the civil case, she accepted this as if it was before a magistrate judge in a civil case. But the only way this makes sense is if it had been tried as if it were a criminal case and then referred to a civil case under one of the special rules of the criminal procedure for some sort of restitution. But I was concerned because of the case law references, including one that references a litigant who has the same last name as my sister. My sister and I get swapped out all the time. But this particular case, System Pipe and Supply Incorporated versus MV Viktor Kornatovsky, was concerning to me. I've been trying to get my certifications for non-destructive testing verified for several years. I had every intention of being a pipe inspector. I've been trying to apply for jobs with so far little success, and all of a sudden, of all of the various cases that could have been mentioned regarding lack of subject matter jurisdiction, she comes up with this case. Well, who's MV Viktor Kornatovsky? According to the case, it was connected to Azov Shipping Company. Azov Shipping Company, they were carrying cargo to the port of Houston on the Kornatovsky, which is the name of a ship. And you go down, it talks about the dates, it talks about the things that happened. It talks about a sua sponte for lack of personal jurisdiction. That's always very concerning to me, the sua sponte, especially if your case is being used as a derivative action and they haven't disclosed it. See, under the rules of the Texas Business Code, you cannot engage in a derivative action without formal notification. And if it is engaged in a derivative action, you have to give up to 91 days of notice. You cannot do it until after the 90th day, unless there's a special specific reason why. But if you don't inform them ahead of time, which is illegal, and you do it anyway under some sua sponte clause, how do you know how if they specifically responded to the charges specifically as they would have been required under the components of the sua sponte? How many times have I personally been sua sponteed on things connected to things that don't make any direct connection with my case? But, reading through here, the Port of Houston, these maritime vessels wouldn't be the kind of things that would need to be insured, would they? Here's another one. Black Sea Shipping Company. According to this, Black Sea Shipping Company, it was founded in May 16th of 1833. I may be incorrect. When I done my research on this company the first time, what I found was that the company specifically referenced in this case was a Ukrainian subsidiary of a company that's now based in Russia. My concern was that they were literally putting a case connected to a Ukrainian shipping company in a fraudulent and completely misrepresentative response to my request for what I asked for, a new trial in consideration of RICO charges, by the way, so that they could use my case in derivative actions targeting Ukrainian assets. I just want you to know, it says filed 9/26/19. Now, I've been following this myself. But if anything's going to be happening tonight, especially if it's trying to draw on some sort of subsidiary interest, then I think it behooves us to be very literal and very practical. See, around the same time, they were talking about MV Viktor Kurnatovsky and its association with Azov Shipping. There was also a benchmark date coming up on an old case connected to a number of insurance companies that had offices in Texas and Illinois, as well as an insurance brokerage that had the same last name as I do, spelled the same way, that was squared off against a shipping company. My concern was that they were using this case law reference specifically in order to ping me and launder things that they were poaching from or in connection with this company or this case, and diverting it to sidecar accounts connected to the case that had the same last name reference as I do. By the way, my father was in the United States military for over 20 years and dealt with matters connected to military transport. What are a bunch of magistrate judges, completely illegal under the laws of the court concerning what's appropriate for a magistrate judge, engaging in litigation or responses that do not respond to my case in any way, shape, or form, but continuously use me for derivative actions. Again, I contend, if I was to ever have any relationship with any Russian or Ukrainian national interest, I do not need any people with a law degree or a bar membership creating fraudulent misrepresentations of my efforts to pursue due process for myself. And I don't think that this company, either of the companies involved in this, do either.